Good evening, guys. This is your proxy for the community REIT, Ron Reed. I want to come on and just give an update. Hopefully, there are people available to hear me. Um, Community REIT is coming along. I'm really excited about all the documents we have uploaded. We have the actual contract with the stakeholders and stockholders, same thing. We have the letter of understanding, which outlines uh, essentially what the community REIT is. You're not, community REIT started off as an idea, and now it's an actual organization, LLC, etc. So the LLC will be posted probably not next week, but the following week, because we got to get some things in place. But the LLC will be up. I don't want you guys to get bored. And what do I mean by that? When I first started in business, um, the documentation that it entails, specifically a development company and a company with so many stockholders and essentially moving parts, can be a bit tedious. Uh, and it can be lethargic if you are a stockholder or stakeholder, because you don't want to know all that. You just want to know the exciting aspects of being part of a development group. And you guys have been with me long enough to know that Mr. Reed is very litigious and very trepidatious when it comes to how I do business. I'm real careful. But that's just the reality of it. If you don't want to end up on the other side of a bunch of wrong and bunch of wrong uh, issues where you come up with a lot of legality later on, then you do everything right and above board and strategically when you first start. Uh, and so I've dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's, and I believe that essentially everything is in place. There will be an extended contract, but the other documents that you see on the website are simply progressive documents, and I'm just putting them up. There are not a lot of signatures on it. I'm going to put the signed documents and a whole entire file on its own, uh, with my signature on it, etc. And some things can't be completely signed off on uh, without the officers in place. So there has to be an operational move, and that's essentially the investment before some of the documents can be signed. It's a real company once you incorporate, and it's definitely a real company once you make the investment. I want to discuss something with you guys and something that I've been working on a lot lately, and it is the benefit of having essentially two companies. And I'll talk a little about why I did that. Essentially, you want to safeguard uh, over the assets. So you have one company as we build assets. And assets, obviously, you guys know, is hospitality facilities, resorts, hotels, etc. And the other is healthcare facilities. Another asset is cash. Our lines of credit, same thing, because you don't have lines of credit if you don't have any cash. Um, the deals that we do, the land that we own, all of that is in one holding company, right? And essentially, the holding company pays the bills of the management company, right? And once the management company has grown its line of credit, and it's a couple ways we can do that. I can lend a line of credit to uh, the company that holds all the management. And what does that mean? You'll have a group that is essentially just, the CEO, CFO, COO, uh, counsel, which is the lawyer, probably accountant. Yeah, CFO. And that'll be part of one organization. I did that as a safeguard because you always want to separate the capital uh, from people who can touch it. Now, the CFO can assign a lot of things, and he'll be essentially he in our organization he'll be the CFO and the fiduciary. He'll act as a fiduciary, or the person that can distribute money, or the person that can approve distributing money. Okay, so he'll have that responsibility for the company. But that being said, he can't effectually. You want them separate because you don't want him to have control over the holding company, because then he has control of your company. The company is nothing without assets. So that's what I did that. But today, I was walking through several rules, regs, SEC laws, some distinguishing characteristics that I identified through ChatGPT, uh, you know, to amend a lot of the stuff that was in the document to make sure that myself, who is a proxy, and any of the other, I'm not an officer, but I am the major stockholder. In other words, I have more stock than anybody else, and that number is 15%. I own 15% of the stock. Everybody else owns their percentage. I also installed in there today that I'll receive the same dividend and have the same, even though I'll have more ownership, and I'll be the proxy, and I'll have the most ownership in the company. I won't receive any more dividend than y'all do. So as if I own the same percentage you own, that's how much I'll be getting. Okay. Uh, so for 5 years at least, I'll be whatever you guys get in a dividend, and it's not in stock, but it's a dividend. That's what I'll get. So I don't care if that is. I think that the final number after 10 years is 152 grand. So you make, I think it's 30,000% more than you invested, right? But the reason that I need you to hear me, because that doesn't sound like an exciting number. But what you don't realize, and this is another reason I separated the holding company from the management company, okay? What you're a part of as owners of the holding company as well is that we'll be investing in other things, okay? So I gave you guys a number earlier, and you'll see the entire evaluation where we'll get there. I'm talking about oil and gas assets. I'm talking about all types of stuff. So we'll use the whole holding company to invest in other things, and we'll allow the management company, as it grows, to build itself. So essentially, I think the number that I came up with through my evaluation is that the initial management company will need about $50 million. Okay. What that leaves us, if we're doing real numbers, because you want everything to be, because we're paying the management out of that, all that, right? We have another, let's say 100, you want to leave about $50 million on the table. You have another $100 million to look at other deals. Okay. So you own your small percentage of the holding company, and that's the big thing. You need to understand. You got to start the company where it's making money and building assets first. And you have to understand that as you build assets in this company, you can borrow against the debt of the major company. So let me give you an example. Based on the revenue we receive, you could do one or two things. You can reinvest your dividend, and you can invest in something else. Okay, you got $500, but let's say, okay, now you got 100,000. And we say, and listen to this, because this is a real scenario. I'm already running. Mr. Reed's always running scenarios. You have potential, and this is a real thing, $2 billion deal over there in Ghana. Let's say they want to build another airport, and they say we're going to put up some bonds. Well, we lend the deal $50 million. And we say, we want, you know, 30% over this period of time. See, you can even take, so for those who don't know this, you can take a real deal that exists. Okay, you're going to be paid back from the government of Uganda or whatever, right? Uh, and it's a deal. In other words, you're on the books for them to pay you. You can take that 10-year note and you can borrow against that. There are ways that after that is done, again, I won't be the CEO. I'm the proxy. But all of these things I'm putting into the deal. So, Mr. Reed, how do you arrive at us having a number where we become millionaires? That's how we're going to do it. And I think I've never told you guys the entire, I always use the wrong word, but if I said that, you guys may think it was something untoward or something negative. But I never told you guys the entire plan. Because if I'm being honest, I didn't know it. You understand? That there was, and of course, he's a great guy. But there was a gentleman on our I would say our startup team. Bright guy, very intelligent. But he didn't understand that this entire plan was mine. In other words, let me say this. And I've been the unfortunate recipient of this kind of understanding. You bring somebody or you involve somebody in something, or even you're teaching somebody, right? Shit, I've done it when I was younger. And you explain to them, and you even give them some knowledge, even some responsibility to go do their own research. In that research, they begin to believe they understand what they're talking about. They begin to believe, hey, I know what I'm doing now. What is Mr. Reed doing? And this young gentleman began to ask these types of questions. And again, he is a part of the REIT now. So do not think I'm speaking negative about you. This is a lesson for you to learn. You don't know because you've read a book. Okay? Taking a company, forming an organization takes a level of, I've done this before, expertise, right? You couldn't do that, all the stuff that I've done. You couldn't get letters from flags and letters from architectural firms, letter from accounting firms, banks. That's the next thing I got to do. I got to get a letter from a bank. And then that's it. And the reason I know that is because people that have been following me for 9 months, some of them still don't get it. That's why I have to come on here. And I'm not talking, please don't think I'm talking negative about anybody on our team, because we've come so far. Okay, we've come so far. And I know you guys don't understand all those documents on the website. I get it. But if you have any questions, send me an email. But at the same time, do your own due diligence. But don't allow your immediate understanding to make you think you arrived at an understanding of something that I've been doing for 36 years. That's all I'm trying to say. And you have to be careful of that, right? People think when I say that, but I think I think it's a strong lesson that I was taught by the Lord. That dude, because I think I had that bad when I was young. You don't know because you understand. Understanding is not knowledge. For some reason, people think that is not knowledge, and it's definitely not wisdom. So again, that's what we do here on the Community REIT. We teach as well, right? Those documents are part of a progressive plan and process. And you can go look at other companies and see how they started up in the REIT space. And all of it is a reflection of what the charter person saw benefited his group. So when I look at 40,000 intelligent, bright, comprehensive investors that are, let's be honest, at the poverty line to middle class, okay, to some upper middle class, because we do have some upper middle class people. And that was the scope of value that we wanted. We didn't want a bunch of rich people. You know, if some of you are still watching, you remember that. It was Mr. Reed's understanding that I'm getting regular people that go to work at Walmart, that go to work at the city, that have retired from places, you know. And I knew they weren't rich. That hence the number. 40,000 people, $500, right? So then sitting in prayer and my own knowledge and some wisdom from some of my mentors made me arrive at a space where I'm like, okay, I get it. This is it. If I have 40,000 people, I can raise $20 million. First of all, I don't want you guys to be discouraged, but you have to understand this is a lot of moving parts. So for me to do what I did, I know I had to implement a lot of mechanisms. I had to make you feel safe about giving your money. Okay, so if you read the documents, you'll see an intake process. You know, you'll see several documents that say, and I've been telling you guys this forever, proxy don't touch your money. That's what I am. Proxy can't distribute your money. Okay. My point is, it was tedious to both coordinate this and conceptualize it. And I think some didn't understand. Okay, Mr. Reed knows what he's doing, doesn't he? I mean, I'm like, what are you talking about? This is for a specific group of people. And that's why when you guys hear me make the example of an attorney, and most of you believe an attorney knows what he's doing. That's why when you go in and you ask an attorney, well, what do we do? He's like, I don't know. We're going to wait for the other side to say this. And I tell people all the time, because I've dealt with lawyers a lot, you tell the lawyer what to do. You tell the lawyer what your expectations are. Even if you're a criminal, you tell the lawyer, look, I don't want to go to jail. Well, that's what we're going to get today. You know, but a lawyer's not a genius. He's not reading. He's just reading the tea leaves, whatever's going on. So I had to actually conceptualize this, guys. So it took progression. What's going on in the market? Who are my people? You know, which is the most important thing. Who are the other stockholders besides yourself? You know, so I had to know where I was and what I was willing to do. What sweat equity? What's sitting down and talking with executives and accountants, and you know, that wasn't just and doing my own due diligence. All this stuff. So when you see these documents, and you guys know also how important it was for me that you knew what was going on. I almost drove y'all crazy. I had a lot of people walk away. Oh, he talking too much. I'm gonna keep talking. I'm gonna talk until you understand what's going on, or you're courageous enough to go read the documentation yourself and see, what does this mean? Now, some of you are married to, some of you know attorneys, and some of you are married to attorneys. Some of you have attorneys that's cousins. Have them look at everything. Send me any questions they have. All of that stuff. Look, we don't even have a complete board yet. We got time. We're not rushing. And the new date, for those of you who don't know, will be on the website. The new date is January the 23rd, 2026. That's the date of your investment. So now everybody knows. I don't have to say it again. I'm saying it here. But I had to conceptualize this thing, guys. When you go to somebody, it's almost like old friends. The best example is two old friends sitting down who've invested with one another and done business with each other over the years. And I'm the old friend, and you're another old friend. And this is really how it happened. When I had my old TikTok, where I had 400,000 people to 1 million people, they asked me, "Hey, Mr. Reed, do business with us." And first, I rolled my stuck-up eyes and my presumptuous ideals, and I said, "I don't want to do business. I like going online and giving wisdom, but I don't." But I thought about it, and I said, "Well, man, you know what? I got some pretty smart people on my site. What can I come up with?" And literally, the community read is what I was given by the Holy Spirit. So here we are. And all the conceptualism was idealized between myself and in prayer. Okay. Everything that I told you guys would be in the documents is in business plan, protectionism. In other words, all of you out there, well, he might steal our money. How? How? Look at the documents and you would never say that. You'd say there's no way in the world you can touch our money. The bank can't even do nothing with it. All the bank is a holding place. All the accounting firm does is account for the money. They say your money was here, we received it. Then I had to find out a mechanism to transfer the money that everybody would have. The accounting firm suggested Zelle. Like everybody has Zelle. I'm like, okay, we can do that. And you'll Zelle it to the accounting firm, right? The accounting firm will receive it, account for it, send it through me. Well, they won't have to do that. They'll have all your emails. They'll send it to you and me. We'll receive it, seeing the money in this accounting firm. The accounting firm is on the site as well. Okay. All of that is there. The actual companies we're working with, Accor, which is the 5th largest hospitality company in the world. Gensler is the architectural firm. All of that's there. You can check all the people out, right? But I had to conceptualize this, guys. That's what I wanted to really explain to you. So when you were rushing, because you've never done this before, you thought, well, Mr. Reed is taking something. No, I'm not. I needed to know where all the pieces needed to be and what I was going to do. And now that I know it, I know it. You're not going to become a multimillionaire off one deal. That's not going to happen. But then what I have to do is explain to you guys what a holding company does. I have to explain to you that it's not going to be one investment and you're rich. And it's going to be several years. And over that time, because you're in the REIT, you're still going to make dividends off assets that are working. That could be land. That can even be companies. Do you guys know that REITs own companies? Did anybody know that? A REIT can own any working asset. For those you didn't know that, yeah, it has to be an income or you guys know I like revenue. It has to be a revenue earning asset. Okay. So as long as whatever we build has value. So here's what we can do. So for those you don't understand, revenue and debt. Okay. We can grow this company to, let's say, $500 million. There's a way, and if you read the documents, you can understand this, because today I identified processes that would allow you to sell stock at a higher price in the company and walk away if you wanted to. For example, your stock is worth, that's if we arrive at 3.7 billion. If we arrive at that, your stock is worth, let's say $150,000. Okay. You can say internally within the organization, Mr. Reed, I want you to leverage my $150,000 in the company, right? Because some of y'all think that's right in your hand like it's in a bank. It is in a bank. Remember when I first taught you guys about this, I told you that a trust is a bank, right? Give me a heart if y'all understand what I'm saying. And so what happens is this. The bank can give you a loan, right, against the project at a certain point. So you can invest your $150,000 and say when whatever project or company we have, the profits had grown to a certain point, and let's say that company's worth a lot more. And you say, well, Mr. Reed, I want my $1 million and I'm gone. Okay. Here go your $1 million to get in it. Because we already have your 150. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's almost like playing the stock market within your own company, but it's real. Because what you're going to have access to, remember I told you guys this in the beginning, is internally several deals going on. We're never going to leverage ourselves outside of our net operating capital. In other words, we're always going to pay our bills. But listen to me, paying your bills in business, people pay you for paying your bills. If you understand revenue stream, that's what it is. It's you're being paid. That's what a line of credit is. A line of credit don't mean they trust you. A line of credit means they investing in you. Do you understand me? Because what are people at the bank going to do with money if they don't invest it? Anybody want to answer that question? We got the questionnaire. Hey, Sharice, what are they going to do with money if they don't invest it? So that's what we're doing. You understand? So let's say there's another business plan that I have. The business plan is to invest in Africa's oil and gas assets. Okay. Let's say there's a deal in Africa that goes on for 20 years. And actually, the one that I'm talking about does. And they say, well, Mr. Reed, we're going to set up some bonds in Africa. You guys might not know exactly what a bond is, but you know of a bond, right? There is no difference between a bond at a school where they say, well, we're going to build $1 billion worth of schools and we need the community to sign off on this bond. It's the same thing. Let's say Africa says we're going to build a state-owned refinery or chemical plant or whatever, right? And we're going to allow Americans or this REIT, the community REIT, to invest in our bonds. Essentially, we're going to buy the bonds. When the pipeline or refinery is built, they have to pay us. Because bonds are simply stabilizers. And you say, well, Mr. Reed, how does that little piece of paper mean something? Well, how does your stock mean? How does your stock letter mean something? Because your stock letter means we owe you. And you lent us your money to create revenue. Do you understand? And when we create that revenue, it is our goal to one day profit or go public. Going public and profiting are not the same thing. See, a lot of you've heard the word IPO and all this other stuff, and you think, you hit the gold mine when you go IPO. You do within an organization if you're an owner, right? But the other company that buys you just needs you for growth. So somebody might buy you and your stock might double, triple, whatever. But more importantly, either way, you're going to make more money because they have to make an acquisition. And the money they pay you is real. See, an asset evaluation is simply an estimate. Do you understand? Oh, we estimate that your project, your assets are worth $4 billion. Okay. But if that's an estimation and not a real evaluation, and even real evaluations can change based on the value of whatever you have at that particular time. Gold can go down, up and down. It's all the same stuff, right? I remember, and it tripped me out. I had a vehicle that I was trying to get rid of, and I was upside down there. I'm going to be honest with you. This when I started my business. I had a really nice vehicle, and that note was hurting me, right? And all of a sudden, that vehicle got hot. And people were calling me about it. So when the vehicle got hot, what happens? Somebody looking for it, that makes it more valuable. That vehicle was so valuable that at one time, it was the top vehicle stolen in the United States. It was I forgot what year, but it was the Denali, right? The Denali truck. And they were really looking for that thing. And it held a lot of value. Well, that's the same thing. All you have to do is run a company until it's valuable enough and then sell it when it's at its peak. So that's essentially what IPO is. It may be more valuable. Well, IPO is more than that. IPO is going public. It gives the public the opportunity to invest in your organization. That's what an IPO, but I'm just telling you generally what it is, okay? When somebody says we're IPOing, that means we're going public and we're giving you an opportunity to invest, okay? I'm giving an opportunity to everybody to invest, all right? We're giving the public, we're going to be trading in the stock market, right? And one day we'll get there, right? But you want to make money even before you get there. So what happens is the community REIT isn't the only deal you're going to be investing in. That's why you have the holding company and the management company. The management company will manage real estate assets all over the world. Got it? I hope you guys learned something. All right, guys. I am going to start relaxing, and I am going to go to bed. The Community REIT, our podcast, will start up again. Well, it hadn't stopped running. We like to bring guests on. And you guys know that we don't always just talk about real estate development and the business, but we're going to be talking about that a lot more. Every once and again, I'm going to jump on, and this is what I'm going to be talking about because this is our baby. So even though this is our outlet to discuss the Community REIT and get others on board that are just out there in the diaspora, it's also a place that you can come and hear and get healed. And you guys can come hear about my book. My book is going to be out, actually, it should be tomorrow or Tuesday. It'll be available to purchase on Amazon. There are several books out there called Poverty to Purpose, but my pseudo name is Bovis Babalo. Okay, so go looking for Bovis Babalo. That's me. Okay, that's my pseudo name. And I'm looking forward to you guys reading it. I mean, I want to hear what you guys think. I told you, I think I mentioned the other day, I was sitting at my desk and reading chapter 9 of the book, and I just started weeping about what I forgot. I've forgotten how amazing God was. Look, some of you have heard me say this before on TikTok. Be careful who you listen to that gives you perspective, even in the Bible, because people will only talk about where they left God at. You understand? And where they left God at may not benefit you where you are right now. I'm just telling you. You know, some of us think that I say often that right now isn't a good time to listen to old people. Because what old people are believing right now is not beneficial to young people. And I don't think it's ever been a time in history where that made sense. Now, I'm not saying don't be guided by natural wisdom, but there are certain things that older people believe right now that are just not true. Now, I'm not going to go into it, but you guys have listened to me long enough to know what I'm talking about. If I was a young person, I would establish a relationship with God, and I wouldn't allow anybody to tell me what God established my relationship with. What does that mean? There's only one God. There's just a, what 7 billion perspectives of it. You have to determine that you want your own perspective of God. I'll tell you something. God is not a liar. He's not a killer. He's not anything. All the things that say God on. But whoever is can't tell me about it. Whoever is a liar, you can't tell me about God. Whoever is a thief can't tell me about not stealing. So how can people tell you who do things they can't stop doing, tell you about God? They can't. Not me anyway. That being said, um, guys, seek wisdom. You know, seek the Holy Spirit's direction. Um, you know how I know when I'm going to succeed. This any young person listening, I know I'm going to succeed when the people around me start diminishing. I didn't say dissipated. So if any of you think I misspoke, I didn't. I said diminishing. And the crazy thing about it is, I was telling somebody this the other day. You know, I said, when God leaves you, you don't know it at first. You don't know it. So everything around you is still what you think stable, but it's not. It's not. You just think it is. See, one thing about God, if God helped you arrive at a place, then it's going to take God to keep you there. Now, don't remember that. Don't forget that, young people. Don't forget that. If God helped you arrive at a place, you're not going to stay there without it. And what you're going to have to do to try to stay there ain't going to keep you there either. All right, guys, I got to go. You guys have a lovely evening. Thank you. At least every other day, I'll be coming on in the evening and having a discussion on our podcast. And I hope you guys learn tidbits. I'm going to be on here more often. I'm going to have strategic guests. And I just want you guys to join me. I'm not going to always be dressed up. I'm going to do the same thing. Well, I'm not going to come on with my shirt off and all that stuff. I am going to be dressed, and I am going to be articulate. It's a lot of things I'm not going to say and talk about because I don't think this is the venue to do so. But it'll be more professional. It'll be more tempered because now I'm at the place where I need you guys. I need within the community REIT the trust to move forward. I need you guys to trust me to hire executives, to hire a board. I need that trust. So now you have to see the other side of Mr. Reed where he's all business. You got to see the other side of Mr. Reed where he's all business. So in any event, but I'll go back and finish that point. The other point is people start to diminish, and then people start coming after me. People start coming after me. When I know that is going on, I know God is elevating. I know it. And the same thing's going to happen to you. Join us every other day on the Community Read Podcast. Thank you for joining me tonight. God bless.